So update 30 and 31, guys, are still in the works, and I want to give you guys a quick reminder. Update 30 is set to feature the new Forever Communities feature, things like continuing with your same group even after beating a legacy, and there's going to be a lot of leader facility changes that I've outlined in a past video. And update 31 itself is going to be all about the infestation update, which honestly, guys, is going to be the most impactful game mechanic we have seen in over a year. So we have some giant updates that we are absolutely waiting for, but today I wanted to give you guys a full update on what's going on with Undead Labs and these game-changing updates. Also, some new things that we might see in some later updates that was hinted by the developers themselves, and something that was uncovered by a fellow YouTuber that I think a lot of you are going to be super excited to hear about. Think back to the first State of Decay game. So without further ado, guys, the biggest question is, when are we seeing update 30? Well, according to Undead Labs, we have a delay with potentially no end in sight at the moment. This today came out on Twitter from Brant at Undead Labs. I want you guys to take a listen to this.
Hey folks, this is Brant. I've got some news on update 30. We're going to have to postpone it a little bit longer. We ran into a very nasty bug that has the potential to ruin your communities. So we figured it was best not to ship that out. So please bear with us a little longer. We'll get it out to you as soon as we can. Thank you.
I also have a recent quote from Jeffrey himself. I'm not going to play it, but he was mentioning that this update could go all the way to mid-August, but that was before today's update from Brant here. So it seems as though the bugs continue to keep showing up. The game-breaking bugs are just pretty devastating, and we don't want our communities disappearing forever. So at this point, I think maybe even mid-August could be a stretch. Maybe it might be the back end of August, but either way, I wanted to keep you guys updated. With that, though, some interesting stuff was uncovered during the most recent Undead Labs live stream that I have to say was a little eye-popping. One thing that stood out is the field hospital, which is the sheriff leader building. Now, if you see here, it shows 15 plus influence per day, but what that really means is 15 influence per friendly enclave, which I think is pretty amazing little buff there, and would actually make me build this facility if I needed to build a medical facility to begin with. It was also mentioned that this would come at a later update, so it wouldn't maybe hit update 30, but it could hit update 31. Another question that was asked is, are they looking to add different ways to get prestige? And as you guys know, prestige at the moment is only available during daybreak, which is very annoying, and prestige can be very powerful. You can recruit red talent soldiers to your community, you can buy red talent facilities or even red talent weapons, and the answer to that was, yeah, it's something they would love to add in some way, shape, or form. They're hoping to add it at some point, but it's a bit of a delicate process and it may or may not happen, but it's something they're absolutely looking into. I want to say that I think I speak for a lot of people on this. I would absolutely welcome more ways to add prestige. This is coming from a guy who can absolutely solo daybreak easily. I mean, I even have a guide on my channel on how to do it, but I hate doing it. I hate doing that mode, and it's just not fun after a while. It was at the start, but it's just no longer fun anymore after you've beaten it a ton of times. Now, another thing that was uncovered during this stream is one thing that I didn't realize, and I'm guessing a lot of people are not going to know about this, and this is huge. I foresee a lot of people complaining about this and really messing their game up when update 30 comes. That is when you finish a legacy and you get to this screen, you need to actively put people into your legacy pool or they will disappear forever. So if instead you decide to click that disband button on the bottom, they will be gone and there'll be no way of retrieving them. So this is something that I'm glad that I'm relaying to you guys right now. Remember this video in the future and this piece of advice, or you guys are going to be in a little bit of an awkward situation. There was also a question asked about update 31 and the new infestation mechanic. Someone asked if the speed or rate of things spawning is going to remain, and it was confirmed that yes. Keep in mind, on lethal it does get pretty intense, so it could be a pretty rough challenge if you're in lethal, but meanwhile lower difficulties like green zone, it's pretty slow, and I think for the most part are pretty balanced, and I really did get to test out multiple difficulties, so I thought it was pretty appropriate, but lethal can definitely be a little dicey. And finally, someone asked about removing the caps of followers in your community to allow more than the standard 9 or 10. They said they are absolutely wanting to do something like that, but it's more of a delicate process because certain missions actively look for that specific number and it could break a lot of the game mechanics, but it is something that they're looking at. With that, this segment of the video is completely under speculation. Also, this was not found by me. This was found by Guru Gaming. I'm also using his footage, so full credit goes to my man there, and I want to thank him for giving me permission to use this and talk about this. Check his channel, the links will be down below. But what Guru found was extremely exciting. He found a prompt that shows outpost manned, enabled, or disabled. This was during him just routinely playing the game, but it shows at some point Undead Labs has been testing potentially adding defenses in some way, shape, or form. This makes a lot of sense with the upcoming Infestations update. I've outlined this in a previous video where there's things like the new scouting range that's going to play an important role in knowing where the new infestation threats are coming from. But if you didn't know, infestations and hordes will attack outposts themselves and even take them over and completely nullify any bonuses you're getting from them. So again, at the minimum, this is something that Undead Labs is experimenting with base defenses, which isn't completely out of this world, because some live streams ago, we're talking many months ago, maybe like 4 or 5 months ago, they mentioned that this is something they would love to add, but it wasn't something that they could promise to us. So I just wanted to highlight this because I know it's something a lot of people have asked for. Base defenses was something that was in the original game, but honestly, it hasn't made as much sense to implement it until this new infestation update that's coming in update 31. And again, if you haven't seen my previous video, infestations are really going to change the game in a very dynamic way and add a completely new threat to the game. So it makes a lot of sense to add a new way to combat it, but we'll see if this ultimately makes it into the game and potentially update 31 or beyond. We have some stacked updates ahead of us, guys, with the new boons and banes, forever communities, and the infestation update. And this game looks honestly outlined and set for like the next 6 months. So if you guys want to know how the next updates are going to look for State of Decay 2, make sure you guys check those videos on the screen.